The training hall of the Galactic Defense Initiative fell silent the moment Ricard padded through the doorway. The Velcros cub was magnificent even in youth, standing nearly 4 feet at the shoulder, its obsidian fur rippling with each movement like liquid shadow. Amber eyes swept across the room with the calculating intelligence that made its species the apex predators of 7 star systems. Retractable claws clicked softly against the metallic floor, each talon capable of shearing through reinforced steel. Cadet Mira Solis noticed the reaction immediately. The Throman cadets, insectoid beings who prided themselves on their tactical prowess, skittered backward, their chitinous armor clicking in alarm. The crystalline Zephyrians dimmed their bioluminescence instinctively, a prey response hardwired into their species despite millennia of civilization. Even the towering Grask, warriors who stood 8 feet tall and could bench press a hover tank, gave the cub a wide berth. This was expected. Velcros weren't just predators, they were the predators. Their homeworld, Velcran Prime, sat at the edge of a nebula so dense with aggressive fauna that galactic cartographers classified it as a Death World Tier 9. Only 3 species in known space came from Tier 9 planets. Humans were one of them. Mira continued her stretching routine, unbothered by the commotion. She'd been on Earth's Australian continent for survival training. She'd camped in regions where 16 of the planet's 20 most venomous creatures lived within a square mile. A magnificent cub didn't faze her. Ricard's massive head swiveled, scanning each cadet cluster. The Throman pressed themselves against the wall. A Zephyrian actually teleported to the opposite side of the room, an expensive energy expenditure just to avoid eye contact. The instructors stood frozen, uncertain whether to intervene or observe. Then those amber eyes locked onto Mira. The human met the gaze steadily, neither challenging nor submitting. She simply acknowledged the cub's presence with the same casual respect she'd give any living being. No fear sent, the Velcros would notice. No elevated heart rate that other species couldn't hide, just calm acceptance. Ricard moved with fluid grace across the training floor, passing within inches of a Grask who'd fought in 17 campaigns without flinching. The warrior recoiled. The cub ignored him entirely. It walked directly to Mira Solis and sat. Not beside her, exactly beside her, so close their shoulders nearly touched. The cub's massive frame radiated heat like a furnace, and Mira could feel the thrum of its purr vibrating through the floor. Ricard settled into a regal position, tail curled around powerful haunches, and surveyed the room as if daring anyone to comment. The training hall erupted in confused, chittering and electromagnetic pulses, the various species' versions of shocked whispers. Impossible. Instructor Vexala breathed, her Throman mandibles clicking rapidly. Velcros cubs imprint on their parents exclusively. They show aggression or indifference to all others until maturity. Senior Instructor Krell, a grizzled Grask veteran, leaned forward with interest. The cub chose. But why the human? Awe. Mira scratched Ricard behind one triangular ear, without breaking her stretching routine. The cub leaned into the touch, purr intensifying. Several cadets gasped. Perhaps, came a deep, resonant voice from the doorway. Because she doesn't pretend to be something she's not. Ambassador Velkar entered, Ricard's parent and representative of the Velcros Confederacy. The adult predator stood 7 feet at the shoulder, a mountain of muscle and fang that made every instinct in the room scream danger. Yet, there was intelligence in those ancient eyes, wisdom that came from a species that had mastered space travel before most others had discovered fire. My offspring reads intent as you read text, Velkar continued, moving to stand beside the pair. Every creature here performs elaborate displays to mask their fear. They hide behind armor, weapons, bravado. They pretend courage while their bodies betray terror. The ambassador's gaze swept the room. All except Cadet Solis. She does not mask her nature because she has no need. She simply is. Mira finished her stretches and looked up at the massive predator. With respect, Ambassador, I'm plenty scared. I just come from a world where showing it gets you killed. Velkar's expression, difficult to read on a muzzle built for tearing, seemed almost amused. Precisely. Your species evolved alongside creatures that could end you in seconds. Velcros recognized this. We know Deathworlders when we see them. Instructor Vexala found her voice. But Ambassador, The xenopsychology reports indicate humans are social pack-bonding species. Velcros are solitary apex predators. The behavioral models suggest incompatibility. Your models, Velkar interrupted gently, were written by species who've never had to earn their place at the top of a food chain, who inherited civilization rather than clawing it from hostile worlds. The ambassador settled beside Rikar, creating a protective barrier around Mira. Humans understand what we understand. Respect is not given. It is recognized. Rikar chirped a surprisingly delicate sound from such a lethal creature and rested their head on Mira's knee. She absently stroked the cub's fur, and several cadets took involuntary steps backward at the casual intimacy. Training begins in 5 minutes, Krell announced, recovering his composure. Combat scenarios. Multi-species tactical coordination. Cadet Solis, you'll be running point. Mira stood, and Ricker rose with her, matching her movement with eerie synchronicity. The human smiled slightly. Sir, I'm assuming my new shadow tags along? Velkar inclined their head. Rikar has chosen their training partner. By Velcros law, that bond is sacred until maturity. Where you go, my offspring follows. Great, Mira muttered, but her tone held warmth. She looked down at the cub. Ground rules, Rikar. No eating my teammates, no matter how annoying they get. Deal? Rikar chirped agreement, tail swishing. The other cadets watched in stunned silence as the human and predator moved to the staging area. Mira checked her equipment with practiced efficiency while Rikar sat guard, radiating menace toward anyone who approached too quickly. This changes everything, Vexala whispered to Krell. If Velcros cubs are bonding with humans, if they recognize them as kindred, it means, Krell said slowly, that the galaxy's two most dangerous Deathworld species just became allies. He watched Mira brief her team, while Rikar observed with keen intelligence. The prey species won't know whether to be terrified or relieved. On the training floor, Mira placed her hand on Rikar's head. Ready to show them how Deathworlders do things? The cub's purr became a low growl of anticipation. Across the training hall, Ambassador Velkar watched with satisfaction. Humanity had been an unknown variable when they joined the galactic community 3 years prior, but Velkar understood what others missed. Humans weren't just survivors. They were apex predators who'd learned to cooperate, wolves who became shepherds without losing their fangs. And now, with Velcros recognizing that kinship, the galaxy's balance had shifted. Rikar wouldn't be the last cub to choose a human partner. Velkar had already heard reports from other vessels, other training facilities. The pattern was clear. Predator called to predator across the stars. The galaxy's prey species would need to adjust, or get out of the way.